Good morning, or should I say, come on, man. Yeah, I'm getting a little tired of that because I'm afraid we're going to be hearing a lot more of that. But there again, that's something that's still in the offing. We'll see how that all works out. I got something else to talk about today, and what I want to know is, do you know people that know very little about anything? You've met them. They may know. I had a grandmother, sweetest woman on the planet, treated me like a king, but she knew nothing about the outside world. Nothing. Very little. Very little. I think she worked one time at a department store when she was younger. But you could ask her about current events, things going on in the world. She didn't know anything about it. Now, she knew about the soap opera General Hospital. She didn't know about that. Of course, there was nothing that was, no one talked about current events on there, or politics, or anything for that matter. Now, my question is this, and I want you to think about this because I've been asked several times how I know some of the things I know. And it's very simple. I run across them. I'm interested in these things. I kind of like know what's going on in the outside world. I'm not on a deserted island somewhere where I don't care. I'm involved in this. I mean, it affects my life. It affects the lives of my children, my grandchildren, my family members, everyone. So does it change anything though? Me knowing, does it change anything? I would like to say at a small level it does because I vote. Okay, and I can talk to other people, reasonably well about it, informed to some degree. Does that change anything? Well, ultimately, it doesn't. But I always do use this analogy. You go to a football game. Of course, right now you can't, but you know what I'm getting at. You watch it on TV. You watch it. You go to a baseball game. You enjoy it, right? I mean, a lot of people are baseball fans, football fans, hockey, whatever. Go through the list. You're there. You're interested. You're concerned. You may know all the stats. You may know all the players, everything. Now, do you have any control over the ultimate, how that game ends ultimately? Of course not. Of course not. It's you can hope, you can wish, you can clap, you can scream, doesn't matter. But you do know about it. I find that's pretty much the same analogy I would use to describe, following politics at any level. It's like not an obsession so much as just I like to know. I like to know. Can I affect the end game? No, I can't. But what I will say, I've been asked on several occasions, how do you know these things? And I will say, I read, I go to certain websites. Now, these aren't crazy websites. Some would say they're a little fringe. I don't think that's true. I'm not fringe. I just common sense. I mean, if something smells like a duck or looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Is that a conspiracy theory? I mean, can you say that every conspiracy theory is true? No, you can't say that. But more often than not, most conspiracy theories turn out, if it's years later, maybe decades later, turn out to be pretty much true. Now, are they exactly what they said? I mean, is it like reading not the Inquirer, but what was it? The World News. I think that was one of them. Black and white newspaper used to be by the checkout aisle when I was a kid. Mother has baby alien or something. Okay, all right. You want to call that conspiracy theory? Fine. I'm not saying I believe that stuff. Okay, a lot of this is made up, absolutely. But a lot of stuff in the New York Times is made up too. Most of it, actually. Most of it. I mean, you talk about you want to talk about a paper, the Gray Lady. That's what they used to call it. Still do some. The Gray Lady one of the most prestigious newspapers in the country, how that is fallen from grace. They are the absolute worst at everything. They have no journalistic integrity whatsoever. It's pathetic what's going on there. It's so bad that they've had to sell off actual floors in their building because they're losing staff. They're having to shut things down. They're going the way of the buggy whip, and I think it's rightfully so, because they're not journalists anymore. What they are they're opinion makers, opinion people. They do very little journalism, very little. Most of these people that work there are horrible at what they did. They went into journalism because they couldn't do anything else, and it's pathetic what's going on. The writing is atrocious. I've read. It doesn't matter what newspaper you deal with now. The English alone, the grammar is horrible. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying. Do you want to be that person who knows nothing about what's going on around you? Do you want to be that person? Do you want to be the person who, like my grandmother, was not concerned with anything that went on in her outside her 30-foot circle, okay, her perimeter? She had a perimeter. It usually started at the end of her block. She knew what was going on on her block. She knew that. She knew what her neighbors were doing. She knew most of the time she knew what her relatives were doing. But you ask her anything political, and granted, she didn't have a formal education or anything. I think she graduated high school. I'm not 100% sure on that. She may not have. I'd have to ask someone that. But the point is, she wasn't stupid, okay, on day-to-day things. She wasn't stupid, but she knew nothing about the outside world, how politics work, anything like that. Okay, so do you want to be like that? Because I don't. I tell people, they say, what, you want to know about these things? You want to know about what I'm talking about? Maybe I'm brought up some conspiracy, 9/11, Bin Laden, the Iraq War, invasion of Syria. Not that we have yet, but we will if, Biden gets elected. Moon landing, JFK assassination. Okay, you can say those are all conspiracy theories. You can. How about the Civil War? How about World War II? How about the sinking of the Maine? Vietnam War. I could go down the list. Do you believe that what you're being told is the truth about those things? 9 times out of 10, we find out it's a complete lie. Complete lie. Now, 9/11 is a good example that because of national pride, same thing with the moon landings, national pride, we're not going to look into that. Even though people say, the story they're telling you is not true. That's not exactly accurate. Okay, well, we don't want to do that because it's national pride. Okay, fine. But at the end of the day, if you go down this rabbit hole and you start looking into these things, first of all, it's very exciting. It's very interesting to find out what is being said and what can be proven happened during these events that were not reported or were reported completely bogus. Okay. Now, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, there's no coming back. I don't know if you remember the episode the scene in I can't remember that. Darn, that makes me mad. But it's about a red pill, blue pill, and the blue pill. You go back to sleep. You don't know anything. You act like my grandmother. The blue pill. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. You take the blue pill. You take the red pill, you come down the rabbit hole and you see what's really true. Well, I don't know about you, but I want the red pill. Can I do anything about it? No. But I will know when I'm being lied to. Okay? That's pretty important to me. It really is. I want to know if someone's lying to me. And politicians are really good at it, at lying. So it's hard to tell sometimes. And they will spin things. They will twist it so that it sounds like it's the truth when it's really not. There are words for that. But that's the thing. I at the end of the day, I want to know what's going on, and I don't want to be these double-digit idiots out here who just wander through life not knowing how the outside world affects you. Okay, because these idiots are going to be, things are going to happen if Joe Biden if Beijing Biden gets elected, if he is and they steal this election, which they have, there's no doubt about it. It's been stolen. And I don't mean that as a conspiracy theory. They have facts that prove that. I mean, Pennsylvania alone. I mean, look at all the abnormalities and the signed statements saying that this is nonsense. They broke laws left and right. So if this is allowed to stand, our republic's in a lot of trouble. And I, for one, will not be one to just stand by and act like nothing's wrong. Because, I mean, what'll happen is you'll have these idiots, these double-digit idiots, who will say, so I don't know anything about that. It'll be fine. There's been Democrats in the White House before. Well, it'll be fine. Joe's a good guy. Yeah, no, Joe's not a good guy. And secondly, you're going to get your paycheck one day, and you're going to look at it, and it's going to be less than you have been making in the past. Why is that? Well, because those the tax cuts that Trump pushed through will expire, and Joe's not going to renew them. I mean, your withholding will be different. Your credits for your children will eventually go away. It's going to cost you a bunch of money, and I don't want to hear it later on that we didn't know this. I'm telling you right now. If you're a double-digit idiot, then you probably ought to just keep your mouth shut and just move along. You probably shouldn't be voting in the first place. If you're not educated enough to know who's on the ballot. I always say get into a discussion about politics at somewhere public or whatever with somebody you don't know. First thing I think to myself is, I hope this guy knows who his senators are. I probably should ask him, because if you don't know who your senators are in your state, then you probably shouldn't be talking about politics. You really shouldn't. Yeah, and I'm not saying you have to be an expert in it, but you probably should know how many congressmen there are. How many House of Representatives there are. There's 435, by the way, and how many senators there are, and how many represent each state. I mean, just a little civics class. If you don't know that, then your opinion means nothing to me. And I've met a lot of them. Oh my, I've met tons. And I try to stay away from people for the most part. But when I do meet them at family get-togethers, start talking about politics. Now this is prior to Trump. You find out right away these people don't know what they're talking about. They're shooting their mouth off with absolutely no idea what they're speaking. And you've met them. I guarantee you've met them. You got people probably in your family, very same way. Yeah, and I do not want to be one of those people, and I don't think anybody does at the end of the day. Wouldn't it be better to know what's going on? And don't just tell me they're all crooks. Yeah, they're all crooks. 90% of them are. There's no doubt about that. But you have to know enough about how the world works in order to know why they're crooks and how do they get away with that. Okay? And then maybe we can find somebody who can stop it. That's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in this world taking a different turn than it is right now. I'm still hopeful that Trump's going to have this election overturned. I mean, the fraud in this thing was just unprecedented. It's so in your face that it's not even funny. But again, I'm getting a little, I don't know, it drags out like this. You think, I don't know if the Supreme Court's got the balls to work to do anything about this. But I'm hopeful that they do. Because at the end of the day, that is kind of what they're around for. They are the end-all, be-all. They are the final word. Now, if the only cases you want to take up are whether or not the snail darter is an endangered species, or a property dispute, or some nonsense like that, then what good are you? There's a lot of people that should be indicted over this. There should be major investigation, and if Trump doesn't appoint a special prosecutor, if he does get kicked out before he leaves, I'm going to be very disappointed, because that needs to be done. They did it to him, and they did it for 4 years, and they found absolutely nothing. This we know is going on, and Joe Biden is a crook. So I think there should be a special prosecutor appointed. So Anyway, that's all I got today. And I will talk to you later, and you be careful.